All right, and we are back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. And for the second part of the show, we're going to talk about the Broncos 2024 schedule. This is the final schedule breakdown that I will be doing, and it went really fast, but here we are. We're going to have to figure out something else to do. So the Broncos last year, it was an up and down season for them. They looked like they were going to finish with one of the worst records in football, but they ended up finishing 8-9. Then it looked like at one point they were going to make the playoffs, maybe sneak in as a wild card team, but that ended up not happening. Russell Wilson is now no longer there. He is now a member of the Pittsburgh Steelers. He is going to be the starting quarterback for them, at least for the beginning part, or the beginning of the season. So it's you got a quarterback room when it comes to the Broncos, you got Jared Stidham, Bo Nix, who they drafted, and Zach Wilson. Oh, and congratulations to Zach Wilson on getting engaged. That happened while I believe I was away. When I was away. So this is the Broncos schedule. So it's kind of funny. So you got week 1, you got two teams that the teams that Russell Wilson previously played for going at it in week 1. Now, this is in Seattle, just like when Russell Wilson made his first Denver Broncos start in Seattle on that Monday night that the Broncos lost. And that was those were the early signs of that was not a good game. But yeah, so they'll be going at it, and then in week 2, the Broncos face off against Russell Wilson at home, so that should be an interesting game. So I don't know. Just looking at this schedule, I just don't think the Broncos are going to be very good. First of all, I don't even know who's going to be starting. Is it going to be Jared Stidham? Is it going to be Bo Nix? I don't think it's going to be Zach Wilson. I'd be surprised if it was Zach Wilson. Maybe they'll have him start against the Jets in week 4 against Aaron Rodgers and the Jets, but I don't see that happening. I think it's either going to be Stidham or it's going to be Bo Nix. That's my guess, but who knows. So in Seattle, now Seattle, there's no more Pete Carroll. It's Mike McDonald. But I don't know. I still think the Seahawks being at home, I think they should win this game. So I'm going to give Denver a loss. Against Pittsburgh, I mean, I could see them upsetting the Steelers. But I don't know. I'd probably lean towards the Steelers and take them. But, the Broncos being at home and, Russell Wilson, I don't know how he's going to play. I mean, I think he's going to be all right for the Steelers, but I could see the Steelers losing this game. But I'm going to still pick them. So the Broncos start off 0-2. I think they could beat the Bucs in Tampa, but again, probably lean towards taking the Bucs. The Jets, I see that being a win for the Jets. Against the Raiders, the Raiders won the season swept the season series last year. So I'd probably take the Raiders here. The Chargers, probably take the Chargers. I really, to be honest, I really just don't see a lot of wins for Denver here. Against the Saints, I mean, Sean Payton's return, I mean, could they win that game? Maybe. But I'd probably lean towards the Saints. I think week 8, that you got to pencil that in as maybe a win against the Panthers. Then you got the Ravens and the Chiefs, both road games back to back. I think those are both losses. The Falcons at home, I think that's a loss. Yeah, I really don't see a lot of wins here. The Raiders in Vegas, I see that as a loss. The Browns, I think that might be a loss. Although they did beat the Browns in Denver last year, but no Deshaun Watson. So could they win that game? Sure. The Colts, Peyton Manning's former team's going at it. I don't know. I really don't see a lot of wins. I see maybe like 2 or 3 wins. The Colts, I think, could be a loss. The Chargers, I mean, maybe you split with the Chargers. The Bengals, in Cincy. I think that's a loss. Maybe the Chiefs rest their starters and they can get a win there, because by then the Chiefs might have like home field advantage wrapped up if they got the 1 seed or whatever, the division wrapped up. So yeah, I don't see a lot of wins for the Broncos. I see the Panthers, that game, I could definitely see them winning that, but it's tough. Because I really don't know what to expect. They traded Jerry Jeudy. You still got Cortland Sutton. But, it's just, I don't really know what to expect. When you got Jarrett Stidham starting at quarterback, or you have Bo Nix, I just don't really think there's a lot around them on offense that they're going to, be... if the defense is good, that could keep them in games. But, yeah, I don't know. I'm not really a fan of... I'm not very high on the Broncos. I don't think a lot of people are high on the Broncos. But yeah, I just don't really see a lot of wins here. The Panthers is like the one game where I could definitely see them, winning. But I don't think they're going to win one game. I think they're definitely going to win more than one game. I could be wrong. They could go winless. But maybe they split with the Raiders. Like I said, if the Chiefs rest their starters, maybe they could get a win there. I'm gonna say like they get 3 wins somehow. I'm gonna say 3 or 4 wins. I don't see a lot of wins on this schedule. I really don't. But like I said yesterday, injuries can happen, and a team they could be facing, maybe could be battered by injuries, and they could take advantage of that. But yeah, I'm gonna say 3 or 4 wins. I really don't see a lot of wins on this schedule here. But I could be wrong. But I just think giving them 1 win, I don't see that. I think they're gonna find a way. Now I don't know where it's gonna come from. Like I said, maybe they upset Russell Wilson. They could split against their divisional opponents. I think they could beat the Saints. Sean Payton's return to New Orleans, maybe he gets a win there. Maybe they upset Tampa. But, against the Ravens, the Chiefs earlier in the season, and, the Bengals week 17, there's not a lot of wins in that on this schedule here. But who knows? They could prove me wrong. But that is their schedule. So, yeah, I'm going to say like 3 or 4 wins. I don't see a lot of wins on this schedule. But we'll see how they approach this season. When it comes to the quarterback position, does Bo Nix end up starting right away? Do we see Jarrett Stidham? Do we maybe even see Zach Wilson? I said I don't think we'll see. Zach Wilson is not going to be the starter. But, who knows? But that is the final schedule breakdown. So we got through all of them, and it went very fast. And now we got to figure out, something else, because we changed the format. And it used to be 4 segments we would do, and now we do 5. But since we started doing that, that's why I started doing the schedule breakdowns, because it gave me something to at least, cover in that 5th segment. But we've gone through every single team now. So, but we're 3 weeks away, right? 3 weeks away from the Hall of Fame game. So, before we know it, we're going to have some stuff to talk about. So, but yeah, the schedule breakdowns have concluded. And yeah, we'll see, if I'm right, how accurate I am. Maybe the Broncos go on and they win 10 games and they, shock the world to make the playoffs. But yeah, I don't know. I just think when you got Jarrett Stidham as quarterback, and, Bo Nix wasn't, he wasn't one of the, he was one of the top quarterbacks, but he was like, the 4th or 5th guy, he's more, I think, of a project as opposed to, the top guys like Caleb Williams and, Jaden Daniels, those guys. But, we'll see. I think he's probably going to, sit for a little bit. Drake May looks like he's going to sit for a little bit. You definitely know Michael Penix is going to sit. J.J. McCarthy. It seems like it really is only going to be Caleb Williams um, and Jane Daniels that are going to start week 1. But I could be wrong. Because I think on the Rich Eisen show they did, they were like over under 2.5 rookie quarterbacks starting in week 1. And I think Rich Eisen took the over. I think it's gonna be those two guys that I just said. It's just gonna be um, Jaden Daniels and Caleb Williams. But we'll see what happens. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about the Broncos. How do you see them doing in 2024? I mean, I think they're gonna finish in last place. I mean, I'm confident in that. But yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna give them one win. I think they can get at least 3, maybe 4 wins. But we'll see. And it's, the Broncos, how far they've fallen since the Peyton Manning years. I mean, they just can't get it right at quarterback. They can't get it right at head coach. I mean, you were hoping with Sean Payton that he was going to turn things around. And again, last year was kind of like a roller coaster season for them, the Broncos. And it looked like, hey, maybe this team could sneak into the playoffs. But that just ended up not happening. And Russell Wilson ended up getting benched. And Jarrett Stidham started the final couple games. And it's funny because I've said this before. The previous season with Josh McDaniels, they benched Derek Carr, and Jarrett Stidham started the last few games in 2022. And then he started the last few games in 2023 when Sean Payton benched Russell Wilson. So, yeah, they still got Jarrett Stidham. I think he's probably going to start week 1, but who knows? We'll have to wait and see. But actually, before we go to break, I almost forgot to do this. Before we go to break, just want to remind you guys once again to tip or donate and get your comments recognized. Make sure to go to the following link. That is GSMCPodcast.net. Again, that really helps the show, makes the show more interactive between myself, the host, and you guys, the viewers. Again, that is GSMCPodcast.net. And as always, it is displayed on the ticker at the bottom of the show segment down below. So when we get back from our second break of the show, we will talk about Patrick Mahomes winning the ESPY for Best NFL Player. So I'll give you my thoughts on that and whether or not he deserved it or not. So with that being said, stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast.